Hello, hi, and welcome again to the Terminal Podcast, where in the end, it's all about the numbers. This is a show about baseball when in season, but it's not always baseball season. I am your host, and we are broadcasting high above Civic Center Station in downtown Atlanta. And tonight, class is in session. There are four guests here to answer questions from the University of Dope, a disrespectful game for hip hop lovers because your favorite rapper is trash, and I've got four people to back me up. We'll go around the room from left to right on my screen. So when asked, let me know where you're calling in from and your answer to the first card, which is your favorite kicks from the selections listed, which are Tim's, Air Force Ones, Chucks, and Adidas. And if anybody, has more to say, we can run an ISO and go to them. So, Rashawn, where you calling from, and what's your kick choice?
Calling from beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, and my kicks are Air Force One.
Okay. Ed,
Ed Molina from Brooklyn, and I'm gonna be stereotype and gotta have Tim's. Gotta rock the Tim's.
all right. Kenneth,
Hey, good evening, everyone. Name is Kenneth Richardson, calling from McDonough, and by way of Strong Island. And I'm also going to say Tim's.
all right. And Brian,
Calling from your nation's capital, Tim's, man.
is that all you want to say your choice, your preferred kick of choice?
I mean, he gave me limited choices.
So all right, well, that's the ISO. We want to move on. Each of the questions of the cards has four choices. Each scholar has their answer, and after the tally is done, anyone in the minority will have a chance to defend their selection. After they have their say, those in the majority will choose someone to explain why the minority is wrong, and will debate until a consensus is determined for a final answer to each question. Sound simple? So let's start class. The first question reminds me of wrestling since everyone has theme music. So, which is the best anthem from the following? A, the Dipset anthem, B, the International Players Anthem, C, the Rough Riders anthem, or D, Players Anthem. I went left to right, so I'll go right to left. So, Brian, your choice?
Today's agenda got the suitcase. Dipset anthem. Come on.
All right. Dipset. Kenneth?
Rough Riders Anthem. That's the only logical answer here with DMX.
Rough Riders. Ed? Dipset, Rough Riders. Ed?
Stop, drop, shut them all. Shut them all down. I'm gonna roll with the Rough Riders on this
I'll
one.
be the Rough Riders anthem. Rashawn?
I'm gonna go with international players then.
So, as in the minority, I'll let you go first. You can explain your selection.
Well, you got Dre on the track, one of the all-time best rappers. Got Bun B killed his verse. And in all truthfulness, I could do without Big Boy's verse, but the beat is just amazing, and three of those rappers were talking about being a player. So one at the end of his game, getting married, Dre, and the other two just laying the game down flat on the table. So
All right. Brian, you're in the minority with the Dipset anthem. You'd like to defend your selection?
It's the greatest Source Awards live performance. What else you got here?
That's it. That's right. And Kenneth, would either one of you like to explain why Rough Riders is the selection for this?
I guess I'll go first. I guess DMX sounds angry on every single song he makes. So let's start with that. But he sounds even extra angrier on Rough Riders Anthem. I mean, just from the start, just snitches want to cry, snitches want to die, just angry from the get-go. And there's so much energy in that song. And that song works for any occasion. If you're getting ready for work, driving to work, going to work out at the gym, song is just perfect.
Yeah. Ed, anything to add?
I was torn between International and this one. I think for some people here in the East Coast, International was their first introduction to UGK and whatnot. But with DMX and Rough Riders Anthem, I don't think there was a radio station that wasn't playing that, whether it was the hip hop stations or even the metal stations. It was, to me, that song is a moment in time. Like there wasn't a Jeep up and down. I can't speak for the other coast, but DC, New York, Bronx, Philly. I mean, everyone was playing that Rough Riders Anthem. It was all over the place. I mean, you had white girls going to spring break on MTV, rocking, going stop, drop, and all that. And even the remix is dope. Except maybe, what's his dude, Drag On. I wasn't a big Drag On fan. But
he's got a couple. Let's not hate on Drag On. He's got a couple of verses.
I'm not gonna hate on him completely, but to me, there's something iconic about that song that it goes above the other ones, even Dipset Anthem International and all that they did. Because you could argue Dipset was a moment in time too, but it's different with DMX. He was the hottest rapper on the planet. He had 2 #1 albums at the time. It was, you think to that song, it takes you back to a time and place. And honestly, you could play that NBA game right now. Half the crowd, not even half the crowd, 90% of the crowd is going to be singing along to it. So that's why I go with DMX.
Brian, no memories of driving through DC, rocking Rough Riders Anthem, no?
I mean, yeah, of course. I didn't think this was like the most widely reached song. I mean, I think if you to me, like what speaks Dipset Anthem, you got, International Players Anthem was going to be my other choice, but I feel like it dips down after Dre and Pimp C. All you got is Juelz and Cam. They both do it. Juelz sets it off like nobody else from the beginning, the build up to just it brings it out of you, to me, more than like Rough Riders Anthem sounds like 20% of DMX's songs. I don't know. Like it doesn't stand out like Dipset Anthem. Like Dipset had bangers, but Dipset Anthem stands out pretty much more than any of them.
I will say, as far as international players, it is a sharp drop off after Dre, only because it's Dre, and then who are you coming after that, unless you're someone great? And I can't even say I've really heard the Dipset Anthem, so I'm not even going to speak on that. But you're right. The Rough Riders is Swiss and DMX, and so everything that is Swiss and DMX kind of does sound like the same, because that big band growling dog out of the yard kind of thing is that sound. So can we get any traction? Can anybody be moved to another song?
I just think it's great that #2 on everyone's, or at least most of us here, was International. Like there's obviously a lot of love for that song from different corners of the country. So I'm almost on the verge of being tempted. There is a drop off, and I stick with what I'm saying about that song was a moment in time. But I think it's very interesting that all his hip hop heads kind of have that in that second slot. I almost picked it. I'm almost swayed. I'm almost there. To picking that one, but it's just like I said, it was just complaining about Swiss Beat having a certain sound is like complaining that Timbaland has a certain sound, or I think
yes.
It's certain producers. Scott Storch has a sound. You're always going to hear pianos on a Scott Storch song.
But it's DMX, and so DMX kind of comes with, it's like DMX and Swiss Beats are like mac and cheese. They're coming together. It's yes, you can have cheese, yes, you can have mac, but that's sort of the combination. Like I can't even think of a DMX when someone else, I'm sure he's probably on a Primo beat or something like that, but most of it's, I would say 75% of his catalog is on Swiss, maybe. No,
I'd agree with
that.
Sounds about right.
To me, Anthem is like a magnum opus. It's like, that's like the one. And to me, if it blends in with other ones, it's not an anthem. Like to me, by definition, an anthem like stands out. And to me, like, that's why I don't go Rough Riders Anthem. Absolutely fantastic song. Love it. But to me, it doesn't stand out from DMX's other stuff as much. Like, to me, I'd much rather, I'll go with Get At Me Dog. That gets me way more amped from DMX than Rough Riders Anthem, because it sounds like a lot of them, but Get At Me Dog was his original grimy hit. And to me, Dipset Anthem, that's their anthem. That's the one that stands out, and it's a banger. And did you hear about the Source Awards, that being the best ever live performance?
It's just hard to take the Dipset seriously, especially when Juelz Santana, basically all he does is rhyme Santana with bandana. So it's hard to take them as a serious outfit. And also going back to Rough Riders Anthem for a minute, looking at it now, it sounds like most of DMX's catalog, but you got to think about 95, 96, 97, that era. Puffy had that era on lock. That was the Jiggy era. And when that song dropped, it was totally different from anything that was out there. And so thinking that, looking at it now, yes, it sounds like most of DMX catalog, but you got to think about that era when it first dropped, how it just changed hip hop.
I think to Kenneth's point, also, it's like, us as hardcore hip hop heads, we, the first song we think is Get At Me Dog. The casual fan, especially the TRL fan from that era, first song they think of is Rough Riders Anthem. That's their anthem. That's what they think of. For us, it was Get At Me Dog because it was taped at the Tunnel. It's just more of a mixtape song that blew up into the mainstream. Rough Riders Anthem had every intention from day one of being, this is out for the masses. This is, you know what I mean? They had a wider distribution idea or vision for it. And it's more, I think that's the more popular song, even though it sounds like everything else post, that, because he sounds the same to most. I think, but to Ken's point, it was different at that time. We were doing the Jiggy, shiny pants stuff. Even Locks.
Let's not add everybody. I never had shiny pants. I got witnesses who was around that time. I never had the shiny pants. We played the song.
Right.
The song.
Back to the talking about Juelz. Listen, y'all, several of y'all can vouch for me that at one time I was as big a DMX guy as anybody out there, but it was never for his lyricism. So we can't talk about having like bangers, because DMX had bangers without lyrics. Let's be real. Not everything flipping. Am I right?
So it's clear Brian's sticking with Dipset. I'm just gonna run back around. Has anybody changed their mind? Kenneth, you had Rough Riders Anthem. You gonna change, or you staying with that?
I'm sticking with Rough Riders Anthem.
Rough Riders. Ed, you gonna stay with Rough Riders?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Swizzy.
Rashawn, you gonna stay with International?
I'm going to stay.
All right. Well, the majority is going to have to take this, because I'd like to move on. Although this is an interesting conversation, because honestly, Dipset just never got through. I never was a fan of Juelz and Cam and that whole. I was good with them as a whole.
Martin, Dipset was a moment though. You had to be in New York.
It
was a moment.
That sounds like a personal problem to me.
But
you had dudes trying to rock pink chinchillas because of Dipset.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. It was a moment.
And that's yeah. So with that we'll move on to the next question, which is, and as you say that, this is the perfect move to it, which is stay in your lane, stop trying to sing. and the choices are A, Wyclef, B, Lil Wayne, C, Ja Rule, D, Drake. Rashawn?
As much as my hatred for Ja Rule burns like 1,000 suns, I'm gonna go with Wyclef.
So you got Wyclef?
Me, I wish Lil Wayne would get off the scissor and stop mumbling whatever he's mumbling. It's bad. I've seen him.
Ooh. So that would be Wayne. So Wyclef, Wayne, Kenneth.
So same. I wanted to go with Ja Rule, but it's hard for me to go against the crime against humanity that was committed by Wyclef. So that's my answer.
Okay, so that's 2 for Wyclef and 1 for Wade. Brian, who you got?
I mean, if there could only be an all of the above, it's all of so many reasons. But like, if I have to pick one, I don't know. Like, I guess Wayne at least like used auto tune. Drake, who knows what he sounds like without auto tune. Wyclef was absolutely terrible, but fucking Ja Rule, I mean, as cliche as it sounds, he does sound like the fucking Cookie Monster. I'm going for Ja Rule.
So Ja Rule, Ed, you were on Wayne, and I'll come back to Wyclef. So I will agree with you that I think everybody has a general consensus. We all know that most of everybody on this list needs to stop. And I want to say all y'all agree that Ja Rule is the worst of it. Was the people are just bad. There's no one here who likes Ja Rule. But in his defense, he did make a whole living being a horrible singer and a bad rapper too. So I want to say kudos for him to be able to do that and not be good at either one of them, but still get paid. So there is for that. So Ed, explain why Wayne instead of Wyclef as is the majority.
So I'm already gonna get side views for where this is gonna go. I went to go see Blink-182. The opening act was Lil Wayne. Off Crip, this is at the Barclays in Brooklyn. It was the weirdest crowd I've ever seen. Per usual, like most rappers, Wayne was late. DJ was playing the whole set. But then when he did get out there, it's like Lil Wayne now is a walking anti-drug commercial. Because even when he speaks, even when he's on like shows like First Take, whether he's on with Skip Bayless, whether he's singing, whether he's rapping, he just sounds like he's mumbling because he just like so it's what he sounds like. He's a mumbler now. And so it's bad. Drugs are bad. Well, mostly drugs are bad. But like in his case, they're bad. Like too much the weed smoke and all that. Now that said, we were talking about a moment. Hating Ja Rule was a moment. hating Ja Rule became like a real big G Unit moment. Like there were people yelling G Unit like in subways whenever Ja Rule would be playing, like because people play this shit out loud. But it's I can be swayed in that direction because like he was a bad rapper. He's only got 2 songs that I like: Holla Holla, Holla Holla Remix. That's it. All the other stuff with Ashanti.
And that's the beat. Holla Holla is the production.
It's the beat. and Ja Rule, all of Ja Rule is a production. Whether it's the Fire Island incident, that was a production issue to like him as an artist. He is one bad production after another. And I think having the pettiest man alive constantly pick on you, like by the first rows of your concert so that it's empty, doesn't help you as far as being the butt of the joke. I just talked myself into Ja Rule, guys. So that's kind of what happened.
I think you convinced me too.
And can I say, will it finally put the nail in the coffin that I have no ill feelings toward Ja Rule? I don't hate him at all. That's how bad he is. It has nothing to do with hate.
That's how bad he is.
Nah, F that guy. I don't like him.
I wish the best. I have no problem with Ja Rule.
I'm gonna take the Tony Ayo loyalty route with G on this one. Like I'm just no. There was nothing likable Cadillac Tar or Mercedes Benz Tar or whatever his name. That whole Murder Inc. was whack. The only one that was any good was Ashanti, and she can't dance for shit. I'm just saying.
Well, Rashawn, you were in the credit. Did you switch to Ja Rule? Did I see you switch over to Ja Rule? Or?
I switched to Ja Rule because Wyclef just made a bad song. 911 is really, I don't know how he's evaded being arrested for that crime against humanity.
You going to 911? You're leaving out the part of the. I can't even come up with the name for how many albums the score sold, where he sings prominently and loudly on that album.
That's right. I forgot about that butcher job he did to No Woman, No Cry. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, as well as isn't he sing? Doesn't he sing on Lauren's on? Doesn't he sing on Miseducation? Am I
I don't
missing
think
that?
so because that was such an anti-Wyclef album. I don't think he was invited to
I know
sing
he's
on
on.
that
Oh,
album.
he's on Miseducation. It's just a question of where, if I remember correctly. But either way, so if it sounds as if there's a Ja Rule 3-1. So Rashawn, would you like to pile on? As I was trying to set you up for Wyclef, but
Well,
any other reason why he needs to stop?
well, much like the anthems, like Ja Rule was my number 2. Like I would go 1 or 2 either way. But yeah, Wyclef just I don't know. It was so bad. Like how like it's like it's to the point like Brian said, like he doesn't even care about Ja Rule because it's so bad. You know what I'm saying? It's like yeah, it's just horrible. And words lack I lack the words to describe how bad it was. And it got airplay because it was Wyclef. Remember, I was like, oh, it's Wyclef. He's doing something different. And then you had to sit through that if you listen to the radio,
Oh boy.
3.5 minutes of this bullshit, right? I'm sorry.
That remake of Guantanamera, he belongs in Guantanamo Bay for that. I'm just
Yes, he
saying.
does.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I just, and gone till November. My hearing was gone till December. So
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah, that was pretty horrible.
Glad
too.
y'all have better memories than me.
I remember a time when people were trying to front. Oh man, greatest black guitar player since Jimi Hendrix, and I'm like, what? Like, what did you just say that? Like,
Yes.
The people who said that were on the same drugs Wayne on.
See, I feel like there's a lot of Wyclef, out of all these people, Wyclef made a lot of money singing as a singing rapper, and like Guantanamera and Gone Till November. There's Wyclef songs that are in the atmosphere that are. This is a rap song. This is a highly popular rap song. Like, you can't see me doing air quotes. Rap song done by Wyclef that is going to be blocked in history. When people look back 50 years from now, that's going to be one of the songs like, oh, this was part of that era. And that's kind of, I don't see that from Wayne. I certainly don't see that from Ja Rule. We all know Ja Rule because we lived through it. Future generations are going to luck out and not have to have that experience, is really what it comes down to. They're going to be okay. We've got rid of that. We've done right. We've done good. But Wyclef's going to get through. I don't know. So,
I think he'll be fine because for every bad song that he's made, at least we still have Nappy Heads. We got how many mics.
Well, that's him as a rapper, though. That's not him as a singer.
Yeah, exactly. So we can forgive the singing because there's a couple of bangers. Whereas with Ja Rule, just horrible song after horrible song. It's like Ed said, outside of Holla Holla, there's really nothing else that Ja Rule has to offer and bring to the table.
Yeah. Brian, you like to stay? I was going to say, at this point, you are the majority. I was going to say, would you like to convince Rashawn why it should be Ja Rule over Wyclef?
I don't know. The thing that stuck with me is just the rapping part. I mean, again, Wyclef is like, take Lauren off the score. Would you ever listen to it?
Yeah, but he's still carrying Praz, who's a worse rapper.
Oh my God.
That is, in fact, because Paz makes Wyclef look that much better.
Guys are pretty bad too.
Right.
Well, all right. So
Praz and Ja Rule are gonna share a self pretty soon, I guess. That was meaner than.
Have we reached the majority? I was going to say, so is it Wyclef or Ja Rule? Ja Rule is the majority, right? I believe
Rule's
so.
the majority.
Yeah.
Ja Rule is the 3-1 majority, and we're all
it's really like 3.5. Because I stated in the beginning that I hate that dude.
As you were saying about a moment, there was a moment that we've all had to experience where that was all you heard coming out of people's cars on radio stations is whatever you want to call what he did when he was making noises. Oh my good, please stop. All right, so that was a bad noise. And unfortunately, that's going to be the last noise that I'm going to have to do because I'd like to close with a trivia question. And since we did start talking about everyone's favorite sneakers, it's only right that we finish with All Day I Dream About Sports. For over 20 years, I've made sure that I owned a pair of the German Superstar Cloud White and Core Black. That's a fancy talk for a white sneaker with 3 black stripes. Not necessarily shell toes, but the easy white shoe for the summer. You can throw it on with some shorts and everything like that. Summer in 1986 is when Run DMC recorded Walk This Way with Aerosmith and changed the entire hip hop game. That was a track on Raising Hell, the first platinum hip hop album. Walk This Way dropped on July 4th of 1986. But the first single off of that album released is My Adidas, which started and created the long-term relationship that has connected Adidas with the culture, with hip hop since been. So, according to Wikipedia, how much did Adidas, the German athletic apparel corporation, pay Run DMC in their initial endorsement deal? Brian, would you like to take a guess?
25,000.
25,000, lowballing the Germans. We are playing Price is Right rules, but Kenneth, would you like to take a guess?
Yes, I would. I'm going to say $1 million.
Okay. 25,000 for Brian, $1 million for Kenneth. Ed?
I'm gonna go with. I was gonna go with $1 million, but I'll go with 75,000.
75,000. All right.
75,000.
Rashawn?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 300K.
300,000. All right. So Brian, 25,000. Kenneth, $1 million. Ed, 75,000. Rashawn, 300,000. The answer to this question will be in the description for next episode. I'd like to thank all 4 of our scholars for participating in class today. I hope they successfully find their way safely home. The same sentiment I have for any and all listeners. I will return to mine now. And thank you all for listening. Have a good evening. Thank you, everybody.